Okay, today we'll see this concept common tangents. Suppose I have two circles like this. If you have a tangent touching both of them, it's touching both of them, then we call that as a common tangent. Now observe that I can draw a common tangent touching them like this also. Okay, so if the circles lie on the same side of the tangent, then we call that a direct common tangent. If the circles lie on the opposite sides of the tangent, then such a tangent we call it as transverse common tangent. Transverse common tangent. Okay, common tangent, very obvious. Two circles are there touching both, we call it common tangent. Now, obvious line touching both, we call it common tangent. If the circles are on the same side of the line, we call it direct common tangent. If the circles lie on the opposite sides of the tangent, we call it transverse common tangent. Okay, let's move on to next concept. Okay, let us see length of the common tangent. Now this is direct common tangent as the circles are lying on the same side. Suppose I have a circle here having center C1 and radius R. Now if I join the point of contact, we know that this is going to be perpendicular to it. Let's call radius as R1. And here I have a circle having center C2, say radius R2. So if I join the point of contact, then we know that it is perpendicular to it. Now, if I call the points of contact as P and Q, we are going to find this length PQ. Okay, this PQ only we are going to call it as length of the common tangent. In this case, it is length of the direct common tangent. Now to find this one, what I do is, you see, I'll join the centers, then from C2, I'll draw perpendicular onto C1P. I'll draw perpendicular here onto C1P from C2. Then obviously, you see, if I call the perpendicular as N, foot of the perpendicular, if this point, if I call it as N, you see this radius is R1 we said. Now, you want PQ means you want NC2 only. Both are equal obviously. I want you to observe that this length is R2 now. Obvious that rectangle and all that. So this length is nothing but R1 minus R2. Okay. So in this case I am assuming obviously R1 is greater than R2. Okay. So what do you get now? Now you see distance between the centers. And C1N we know. If I call distance between the centers as D, then C2N PQ is nothing but C2N is equal to, applying Pythagoras theorem in that right angle triangle C1 C2N, in this right angle triangle applying Pythagoras theorem, I'll have it as square root of C1 C2 square minus N C1 square. So what do I get? I'll get it as root of D square minus R1 minus R2 whole square, where D is the distance between the centers. Okay, we by heart this as a formula. Okay, now let us see length of the transverse common tangent this time. Earlier we saw length of the direct common tangents. And once again I have two circles. He gave me the circles. I know C1, I know C2. I know R1, I know R2. So circles are there having center C1 and C2. The radii are there. And I am assuming points of contact as P and Q. So I have to find distance between PQ for the length of the common tangent. Okay. For that, once again, I join this C1 and C2. Now, to find PQ, I am going to see that I can see PQ in one triangle. So for that what I do is, from P I extend this C1P like this. Okay, for a length R2 I'll extend. And then I join that point, say I extended up to N. I'll join that to C2. Now the advantage is, observe that this PQ and C2N, they are of the same length. Therefore now I can say I have PQ in one triangle. You can see that this is right angle triangle now. I extended up to R2 and obviously that will be a rectangle here, C2NPQ. Obviously it is a rectangle. So I have PQ is equal to NC2 is equal to, from this right angle triangle, you can see that this is R1, this is R2, means the whole thing is R1 plus R2. It's R1 plus R2. So I'll have it as this distance between the centers, if I call D, it will be root of, by Pythagoras theorem, D square minus of R1 plus R2 whole square. We by heart this also as a formula. This is the formula for length of the transverse common tangent. Now before going to the next concept, I hope you remember this point. We said that if we draw two tangents from an external point to the circle, and if we join the center to the point, you see the whole diagram including the tangents is symmetric about this line CP. That means if you fold this along the line CP, not only circle overlaps on it, but these two tangents also, they overlap one on another. Now we are going to see a concept called centers of similitude. Suppose I have two circles here. Now what I do is, I will go for line joining the centers. Then obviously, because this line is diameter to both the circles, the whole diagram is symmetric about this line. Means both the first circle and second circle, they are symmetric about this line. Now I go for direct common tangents. So I want you to observe that when I go for the direct common tangents, the point of intersection of the direct common tangents lies on the line of centers. This is line of centers. Line joining the centers we simply call line of centers. So the point of intersection of direct common tangents, if I call it as P, it is going to lie on the line of centers. It's obvious because you can see that if you forget the small circle here, look at the remaining part of the diagram, then you can see that the remaining diagram is like this only, which we know that it is symmetric about line of center. I mean this line joining C and P. So here it is line joining C1 and P. Similarly, observe that if you take only the small circle and if you rub away the big circle, again the remaining diagram is like this only. That means that is symmetric about line joining the centers. So it is obvious that your P is going to lie on the line of centers. Similarly, I want you to observe that if I go for transverse common tangents, they are also going to intersect on the line joining the centers. Okay, you can see that if I take only this part of the diagram from here, if I take only this part with the big circle, I observe that this part is looking like this only. Okay, symmetric about C1Q. Similarly, you can see that if I go for this part, it's symmetric about, again this is also looking like this only, symmetric about QC2. So what I'm trying to say is the entire diagram of C1, C2, the circle C1, C2, it is not only symmetric about line joining the center C1, C2, but also the points of intersection of direct common tangents and transverse common tangents, they obviously lie on line joining the centers. Okay, these 2 points P and Q, they call them as centers of similitude. P is called external center of similitude and Q is called internal center of similitude. You see, I took pains to show you that these transverse common tangents and the direct common tangents, they intersect on the line joining the centers. But if it is looking very obvious to you, that is what all I need. What all I need is that the line joining the centers, if I take, and if I also take the direct common tangents and transverse common tangents, then the point of intersection of transverse common tangents and the point of intersection of direct common tangents, it's going to lie on the line joining C1 and C2. Okay, so this is P, this is Q, and P is called external center of similitude and Q is called internal center of similitude. That is how they are named. They have given to these 2 points, they have given names like that, so we simply call them like that. This point is called internal center of similitude and this is called external center of similitude. Okay, this terminology is very important while doing problems. Please don't forget. Now, let us see one very interesting point here. You see, if I join C1 to the point of contact of this one and similarly C2 to the point of contact of this direct common tangent, I want you to observe that the triangles, if I name the feet as M and N, the triangles C1MP and C2NP, these two are similar triangles. Okay, so obvious, this is 90 degrees, this is common angle, therefore the third angles are equal, therefore all the angles are equal, that means the triangles are similar triangles. So what I can conclude from this is, if I call this radius as R1, this as R2, you see we are given these two circles having centers C1 and C2 and the radii R1 and R2, it's given. Okay, now I am going to find the ratio C1P to C2P, that's what I'm going to find. Okay, C1P to C2P, that's what I'm going to find. Now I want you to observe that because of the similarity of triangles, C1P big triangle, therefore the corresponding side here I am taking R1 here, and in the small triangle C2P, the corresponding side in the small triangle it is R2. So what do I get? I am getting this C1P is to C2P, C1P is to C2P. That ratio I got it as R1 is to R2. That means P is dividing the line segment joining C1, C2 in the ratio R1 is to R2. P divides the line segment joining C1, C2 in the ratio R1 is to R2 externally. Okay? Similarly, if I assume that here R and S are the points of contacts of transverse common tangents, then joining this we know that this is perpendicular and here we know that this is perpendicular. So I want you to observe that now these triangles, this triangle and this triangle, they are similar triangles. It's easy to see because we know that this angle is equal to this angle, and by symmetry of the diagram about this line C1P, we have this angle is same as this angle, and vertically opposite angles, therefore these are also equal. Therefore you can see that the triangle C1RQ and triangle C2SQ are similar. So once again, if I go for the ratio C1Q by C2Q, in the big triangle C1Q and in the small triangle C2Q I have taken. Those are the sides opposite to right angles in both the triangles. And now what I do is I'll take the sides opposite to these angles in both the triangles, and then you can see that I am getting this as R1 by R2. So I observe that this time Q is dividing the line segment joining the center C1 C2 in the same ratio R1 is to R2, but this time it is dividing it internally. So this is the moral of the story. The internal center of similitude divides the line segment joining the center C1 C2 internally in the ratio R1 is to R2, and the external center of similitude divides the line segment joining the center C1 C2 in the same ratio but externally. Okay, remember these points. So the point where the direct common tangents intersect is called external center of similitude, and the point where transverse common tangents intersect is called internal center of similitude. And both the centers of similitude divide the line segment joining the center C1 C2 in the ratio R1 is to R2. One divides externally, one divides internally. You see, now we are going to see relative positions of two circles. That is what we are going to see. See, in this first part, we say the circles are disjoint from each other. Okay? Means there are no common points. Of course, in this diagram also you can see that the circles are disjoint from each other. But here, one is outside the other in the first one. In this case, I have one inside the other. Okay, now here the circles are touching each other. Okay, but here observe that in this diagram also the circles are touching each other. Here they are touching each other, here they are touching each other. In this case we say that they are touching externally, whereas here in this diagram we say they are touching internally. Okay, and here we say that the circles, they are intersecting. Okay, so if you take two circles, these are the only possible situations you get. Either one circle is away from the other circle, one being outside the other, or they touch externally, or they intersect, or they touch internally, or one circle is completely inside the other having no common points. Okay, it is very easy to see. Observe that it is like I am simply moving this circle close to, and then in a little inside, and then completely inside, and then more inside. Okay, like that you can see this one. Okay, so total these are the 5 cases possible. Okay, now I want you to observe that you are saying that the circles are one outside the other, and these two are touching externally in this case, here they are intersecting, here they are touching internally, and here one is inside the other. All this we are saying by looking at the pictures. Okay, but now in coordinate geometry he is going to give us equations of two circles. Just by looking at the equations, we are going to tell the relative positions of the circles. You see, given two circles, all these 5 cases cannot happen at a time. They come under only one of these 5 cases. Now, by looking at two equations of circles, not pictures of circles, equations of circles, you have to decide whether those two circles geometrically going to be like the first case or second case or this or this or this. That's what we have to decide. Now how do we do that? How do we do that means, you see, he is going to give us equations of circles. That means we know the centers, we can find the centers C1 and C2, and we can find their radii R1 and R2. So these four we have now. Center coordinates are there and radii are there, R1 and R2. Now I want you to observe that in this case the distance between the centers is more than R1 plus R2 together. You see, this is R1, this is R2. You have more here as distance between the centers. Distance between the centers is more than R1 plus R2 in this case. Okay. Now coming to the second case where they are touching externally, I want you to observe that C1, C2 here is equal to R1 plus R2. So that is when the circles are touching externally. C1, C2 is equal to R1 plus R2. Okay. Now here I want you to observe that if this is C1, this is C2, now this is C1, C2. I want you to observe this much is R1 and this much is R2. So if I add this R1 and R2, it is more than distance between the centers, obvious to see. Okay. So C1, C2 is less than R1 plus R2 here. Okay. Now coming to this story, suppose I have center of this circle here, center of the big circle C1 and center of the small circle there C2. Okay. Now I want you to observe that here this is R1 and this is R2. So C1, C2 in this case is nothing but R1, this full is R1 and from here to here it is R2. C1, C2 is equal to R1 minus R2 we are getting in this. So this is when the circles are touching externally. Okay. Now coming to this case, observe that I will draw this one more time to have a better understanding. Suppose I have the other circle like that. Okay. Now suppose that is the center of this big circle and that is the center of the small circle. Now this time I want you to observe that C1, C2, this much is C1, C2. Okay. Now that is R1. Okay. And from R1 observe that roughly this much is R2. If I take away R2 from R1, R1 minus R2 if you take, you will get C1, C2 plus something positive quantity. This part is extra there. This is C1, C2 and a little more is there. So what I am trying to say is R1 minus R2 is C1, C2 plus something more. That means C1, C2 is less than R1 minus R2. Okay. I gave all these relations assuming that R1 is greater than R2. R1 is greater than R2. So now I want you to observe that if C1, C2 is equal to R1 minus R2, this is obviously less than R1 plus R2. If C1, C2 is less than R1 minus R2, this is also obviously less than R1 plus R2. So observe that in this case, here and here, C1, C2 is less than R1 plus R2. Understood? I don't need this condition in this case or here. Also in the fifth case also I don't need that condition. Okay, but what I am trying to tell you is, but fourth and fifth cases also come under C1, C2 less than R1 plus R2 case. Understood? So we realize that if I simply say C1, C2 is less than R1 plus R2, it is not enough to say that it comes under intersecting case. Okay, I want you to reason yourself that C1, C2 must be greater than R1 minus R2 also for the circles to intersect. You see here, you can see that C1, C2 is less than R1 minus R2. Whereas when they are intersecting, you will get C1, C2 is greater than R1 minus R2. Now, I want you to observe that for all the 5 geometric cases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 geometric cases possible when 2 circles are given. For each one of them, now I have an algebraic condition there. For each one there is an algebraic condition. See, in the above discussion I did not talk about concentric circles case because we know that when the circles are concentric, they have the same center. So immediately, the moment we look at the equations, we can read the centers and the centers are going to be the same. Then obviously the circles are going to be concentric circles. Okay? Now, you see what I am saying is to decide the relative positions of 2 circles, you calculate first these 3 numbers. Okay? After calculating them, I want you to see that obviously on the number line, I will have R1 plus R2 here and R mod of R1 minus R2 here. Okay. Now C1, C2, it may lie in here or here or here or here or here. See, 5 choices, therefore 5 cases. So if C1, C2 is going to lie here in this region, you will get this case, one lying inside the other case. You know that if this is the story, that means the circles are touching internally like this. If C1, C2 is going to coincide with this number, this is the case. Or C1, C2 is going to lie in this region, then anywhere here, suppose this is C1, C2, then the circles are going to intersect. Or if the C1, C2 is going to lie here, this is going to match with C1, C2, then we know that the circles are going to touch externally like that. Or if C1, C2 is going to lie over here, then C1, C2 is greater than R1 plus R2 means the circles are going to lie like this. So once you calculate these 3 quantities, obviously you will be having R1 minus R2 here, R1 plus R2 here. Now you decide the position of C1, C2 on this. Depending on the position, you can decide whether they are one lying inside the other, or they are touching internally, or they are intersecting, or they are touching externally, or they are disjoint from each other. Okay? Now, see, they are going to ask us questions like given 2 circle equations, how many common tangents are possible? Okay. Now we know that given 2 circle equations, first of all, 5 cases are possible. We don't know under what case those 2 circles are going to come. Suppose we observed and we calculated C1, C2, R1 plus R2 and R1 minus R2 mod. Say we got C1, C2 is less than R1 plus R2. I mean C1, C2 is more than R1 plus R2. Then we know that the circles are going to be like this. Okay. Now I want you to observe that I can have now 2 direct common tangents and 2 transverse common tangents. 2 transverse common tangents. So ultimately I have 4 common tangents, 2 direct and 2 transverse. Total 4 common tangents are possible in this case. Okay. Suppose after calculating these quantities C1, C2, R1 plus R2 and R1 minus R2, say I got C1, C2 is equal to R1 plus R2 I got. It means that I have circles touching each other like this. Now you can see that I have two direct common tangents. You know, direct means circles should lie on the same side. Direct common tangents and one transverse common tangent, because circles are lying on the opposite side. So in this case, only three common tangents are possible. Two direct and one transverse common tangent. Suppose after calculating these quantities, I observed that C1 C2 is less than R1 plus R2 and more than mod of R1 minus R2. It means that the circles are intersecting. So when the circles are intersecting, you can have only two direct common tangents and there is no transverse common tangent. Only two direct common tangents are possible in this case. That's all. Total common tangents is 2 and both are nothing but direct common tangents. Suppose in another case, I got C1 C2 is equal to mod of R1 minus R2. Then in this case, I realize that the circles are going to touch each other internally. They're going to touch internally, one touching the other inside. So in such a case, when the circles are touching internally, I want you to observe that at the point of contact, I can draw exactly one common tangent. One tangent I can draw, and as circles are lying on the same side, we call this tangent as direct common tangent. So total one tangent, and the tangent is nothing but direct common tangent. And suppose in another case I got C1 C2 is less than mod of R1 minus R2. Now we know the geometrical position of the circles. One is going to lie inside the other. So no common points, and observe that you can't even draw any common tangent to those circles. So in this case, the number of common tangents is 0. Okay. So given equations of two circles, if they ask how many common tangents are there, first of all, you should know their geometrical situation. Whether the circles, the 5 cases we have seen earlier, you should decide under what case the circles are going to lie, so that you can decide the number of common tangents in each case. Okay. This is a very important concept. You practice the problems given in your textbook sincerely. Any doubts, we will discuss them in the later classes. Now look at last concept for this class, equation to pair of tangents. Okay, suppose we are given a circle S equal to 0 and we are given a point outside the circle. We know that then only it is possible to draw two tangents from it when the point is outside the circle. Suppose we are given a point P x1 comma y1 outside the circle. Now we have two tangents from P to the circle. We are going to find equations to these two tangents. I mean combined equation of these tangents. That's what I am going to do now. Combined equation of these two tangents. So what I do, I am going to derive the equation as locus of the condition satisfied by a point on it. If I take q x0 comma y0, I am going to get a condition satisfied by this point. Okay, like that I am going to get the equation as locus of q ultimately. Okay, now I want you to observe that if I join the chord of contact, joining the points of contact, that chord we call it as chord of contact. We know that this equation is nothing but S1 equal to 0. Okay, now I want you to observe that for fun, if I call this point as A and this point as B, you see, you take PQ. PQ is there. Okay, this is x1 y1 and this is x0 y0. Okay, in first year we saw that if a line is dividing line segment, if L equal to 0 is dividing the line segment joining two points, then the ratio is nothing but mod of L11 means this point in this line by mod of L00 means this point in this line. Remember? So that is what I do here. I have the same situation here. Observe that I have line segment PQ is getting divided by the line S1 is equal to 0. PQ is being divided by the line S1 equal to 0. This point is x1 comma y1, this point is x0 comma y0. We are calling this point as B, the point where S1 equal to 0 is dividing PQ, we are calling it as B. Then we know that PB by PQ, this ratio is nothing but the ratio is nothing but point in the line. I'll get it as, I go for unsigned ratio for fun. Okay, so I get mod of point in the line. So if I substitute this in this, I'll get S11 by, I'm sorry, this is BQ I want. I'm going to calculate PB by BQ. That ratio only we get. The ratio in which the line is dividing the line segment. So I'll get BQ as S01 or S10, whatever you call it. It doesn't matter. S01. That's what we get. Now I want you to observe that PB is nothing but length of the tangent. Can you see that it is length of the tangent? And BQ is also length of the tangent from Q. You see, if I draw this, I hope you can see easily that QB is length of the tangent from Q. We know these lengths are equal and all that. Okay. So length of the tangent we have formula PB. What is length of the tangent formula for this? Root S11. And again here we have formula root S00. Okay, now I take these two ratios, I square them on both the sides, I'll get S11 by S00 is equal to S11 square by S01 square I'll get. Or taking cross multiplication, I'll have it as S01 square is equal to, I can cancel one S11 here, I'm getting S00 into S11 I am getting. Okay, now writing the locus of Q, x0 comma y0, locus of Q, x0 comma y0, what do you get? Observe that in the place of not, wherever you say x0 and y0, I write x and y, then LHS becomes S1 square is equal to, this becomes S only, and that is S11. If you cannot see directly this one, you write one time in the rough work. S00 stands for x0 square plus y0 square plus 2gx0 plus 2fy0 plus c. Now in the place of x0 y0 we write x comma y. So this is x, this is y, x, y. You can see that that is nothing but S itself. Similarly, how this one becomes S1 means you can see for yourself by writing like this. Okay, so ultimately we got the locus, and the locus is nothing but S1 square equal to S into S11. This is nothing but the combined equation of the tangents drawn from Px1 comma y1 to the circle S equal to 0. Okay, we by heart it as a formula. This is equation 2, pair of tangents.